Hey friends, today's video we're looking at if you're actually making money reselling. You're putting in all the legwork, you're doing all the right things, you are selling items, but are you actually making money? I'm going to walk you through the platinum formula for reseller spreadsheet that I have. It's a $7 spreadsheet. There's coupon codes down below. You don't have to use this, but this is just going to walk you through all of the components that are part of reselling and part of your net profit to figure out if at the end of the day this is even worth your time. And if it's not, you can start to figure out what you need to do to improve some of these numbers and make more money. Hey friends, if I am speaking too quickly for you, do feel free to slow me down. You can click up here on your YouTube screen, scroll all the way down to playback speed, and put me on the speed that is most comfortable for you. Now let's get back to it. So this is the platinum formula for resellers. Again, it is a spreadsheet down below. You can populate these numbers along with me, and it's going to help you figure it out. If you want to hand calculate those, you are at no obligation to buy this. I just made it because I use it, and I thought it would help people who don't like to sit down and do the math and figure it out. You can easily go through and update these numbers. So quick overview of what it is if you've never seen it before. We have the golden formula for resellers right here, and then we have the platinum formula for resellers. The golden formula is the three variables that you need that make up your gross revenue. Your gross revenue is your very top dollar. It is your shipping, it's your fees, it's everything. And then your platinum formula comes over here and takes into account, gives you your net revenue, it takes out your average cost of goods, it takes out your fees, and it takes out your shipping. This is what you're bringing home. You also have to consider your expenses. For the sake of complexity, expenses are not included in this, so do be mindful of what your expenses are and take that out of this number as well. But this gets you down to your net, and it's going to tell you if you're actually making money. When you have formulas, you can then manipulate and change the math and update these numbers, we're going to see in a minute, to be able to make strategic decisions about your business, to be able to look and see what you need to be doing to make the money that you're making. So we're looking at how to update this spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through the tutorial of how to find each one of these numbers to be able to figure out if you're making money. I'll link the playlist up here of the platinum formula and golden formula for resellers playlist that goes into lots of different ways to use this. Today's video, we're going to look and see if you guys are actually making money, what you're doing. All right, so the golden formula, we're going to start on the left with the golden formula. You have your sell-through rate. If you're new or you get it's hard to remember. The formulas and definitions are down here to the right. So your sell-through rate is how many items that you've sold out of how many items for sale. So that would be your items sold plus your items available. We're looking at a monthly period. So for me, if I have sold, let's say I have 100 items available, I sold 10 items, I'm going to take 10, I'm going to divide it by 110. If you don't want to do the math and you have the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard, you can easily come in here, select the month that you want to do. It's calculated for you. So this is another spreadsheet that I have. It's linked down below, one-time purchase. You put your information in, and then you have this chart and metrics along with many other metrics and charts. But so I know that my sell-through rate for the month of January 2023 was 8.54. Is that what I put in? 8.58. Oh, I got an extra 0.8 or an extra 0.4. Okay, and then active listings. This is how many items that you have available. If you sell on multiple platforms, it's not how many you have on eBay and how many you have on Poshmark, and you add them together. If you have one item that's on both platforms, that counts as one item. If you have some on eBay and some on Poshmark and they're not the same items, then yes, you would add those items together. It is how many items that you currently have for sale. If someone is out there buying from you, how many available listings on platforms do you have available? If you have the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard, you can scroll up all the way to the very top, and it's going to tell you this is your active listings. You put that number into the platinum formula. Average sale price. This is how much your items are selling for on average. If you don't have access to this information in the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard, right? We scroll all the way down. On average, my items were selling for $33.21 in the month of January. Make sure that all of these numbers that you are doing are for the same time period, right? We want to be looking at, for me, I'm looking at January of 2023. Everything I'm looking at is for that time period. If you don't have access to that, we scroll over here. Average sale price is the total number that you sold divided by your total quantity. So if you sold $100, I'm going to do quick, easy math here. If you sold $100 worth of inventory and that was 10 items, so this is your gross number. So this includes your shipping, your fees, everything. Don't take any of that number out. It's your gross number. How much you sold. So let's say you sold $100 and you sold 10 items. Each item sold on average for $10. If you don't, you could do the math, or you can look at the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard and it'll give you that information. This gives us our golden formula. These numbers together make up your gross. So based off of these numbers, $7,519 is how much I made in January. Right? Now we come over to the platinum formula. This is where it's taking out my cost of goods, it's taking out my fees, and it's taking out my shipping. Now this is going to get kind of complicated if you are selling on multiple different platforms, depending on where it is. Today's video, I'm going to show you, if you have the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard, where to find these numbers there, and I'm going to show you on eBay. If you're selling on other platforms, you're going to have to figure that out. And Liz Perfectly may have the information. I don't house my stuff in Liz Perfectly. Vendoo may have the information. Let me know down below if Vendoo and Liz Perfectly have this information. I think that they probably do. Average cost of goods. This is information you have to track. So if you have the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard, I can come down here and say, hey, for this month, my average cost, the items that sold, cost me $5.64. This is of the items that sold for the month, what was their cost? Not the items that you purchased this month, the items that cost. Average cost of goods sold. Your fees. So this is going to get complicated if you sell on multiple platforms. The Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard, if you go to the inventory tab and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it's going to break out these numbers for you. It's going to give your year-to-date cost of goods as a percentage and a total. It's going to give your shipping 16.3%. I spent of my revenue, 16.3% of it was spent on shipping, and then my fees were 26.9%. So 26, I didn't put 0.9, 16.3 here, cost of goods 5.64. I'm going to show you on eBay where to get this information, but again, if you sell on multiple platforms, you're going to have to kind of number crunch and figure it all out together, or get the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard. Or you can just do a guesstimate, right, too, to get an idea of what it is. So if you are a seller on eBay, performance, summary, scroll all the way down to the bottom. I have a video that goes into all of these fees, because oftentimes what people see is 44% is your fees. That's your selling cost. That is not your fees. That takes into account shipping, fees, and taxes. What it costs, it's selling costs, what it costs you to sell those items. It's not all your fees though. If you click here on the orange one, it is 25% for me were my fees. And then if I click down here, 19% was my shipping labels on eBay, right? I sell on both platforms. That's why my numbers are slightly different. But if you want to look at just eBay numbers, you would put those numbers here. This is going to give you your net. This is how much money you are making after you take out your cost of goods, your fees, and your shipping. Now, you need to take into consideration your expenses. If you pay a virtual assistant, if you pay for Liz Perfectly, buying poly mailers, all of the things that are going to come out of this number as well. And what I want you to be mindful of is make sure this is a number that is okay with you. Something I like to consider, and I talk about it a lot in my course, is looking at your hourly rate and seeing if it's what's worth your time and how to work on increasing your hourly rate, breaking it up into what's your hourly rate for sourcing, what's your hourly rate for listing, what's your hourly rate for photographing, how can we improve those micro hourly rates to increase our overall income. And so what I did here quickly, this isn't part of the spreadsheet, I just did it quickly because I wanted to show you. I took my net income and I divided it by the amount of hours that I work in a month. For me, I work on average 15 hours a month. On average, there's 4 weeks in a month. I'm making $816 an hour. It's worth it for me. If you are selling items at $15 and you're buying them for $9, you're negative, right? And this is where all of these numbers matter. And then if you're saying, hey, I'm negative and I'm spending $9 on an item, I need to increase this to $30 to make the money that I want to make, right? So now you have all of these metrics that work together, figure out what you're making and if you're actually making money, and then you can go in and update some of these metrics to make the money that you want to make. The videos on how to do it for that purpose are all up here.